Hello, everyone. I, Dr. Seema Tandon, Deputy Director, RRTC UPTSU, welcome and thank Dr. Shikha Seth for taking out time to take a session on assisted vaginal delivery. Over to you, Dr. Shikha.
Good afternoon once again, everyone. Today we will be discussing the topic which is assisted vaginal delivery. Just we will be enumerating in a small theoretical aspect of this section, and then I will be just showing or demonstrating you how the assisted vaginal deliveries are, what are the possibilities associated with it. So coming first to the assisted vaginal delivery, as the name suggests, it means it is a type of an vaginal delivery or in which we are using some instrument. Assistance is being used in the form of some of the instrument, and we have only two instruments at present which we commonly utilize for the assisted vaginal delivery, and one is the vacuum, or which is also called as ventouse, and the another is forceps. So both these things are available to us. They have their positive and the negative points and the indications where they are used. So talking about these things, like first of all, we will be discussing the indications of instrumental vaginal delivery. When the normal delivery happens, there are few situations when we need to assist our delivery utilizing these instruments, and the indication for using these instruments are, पहली चीज है, the commonest indication is delay in the second stage of labor. We all know that second stage of labor starts from the full dilatation of the cervix till the delivery of the baby. So this is the duration of the second stage of labor, and it takes around 1 to 2 hours for second stage. Means from full dilatation of the cervix till the delivery of the baby, the duration is between 1 to 2 hours based on whether the patient is primigravida or multigravida. So whenever the second stage is delayed or prolonged and there is no other obstructing factor in the outlet of the pelvis, then we can think of assisting our delivery vaginal with the help of either of these instruments. Second is the point where the poor maternal effort. When the patient herself is not able to bear down properly in the second stage. Second stage, most common part जो play करता है in pushing out the baby from the introitus is the maternal effects along with the uterine contractions. So whenever there is poor maternal effect, which is commonly seen when the patient herself is either exhausted, or maybe in some of the situations when the patient, suppose like a eclamptic patient who is semi-conscious or unconscious, or maybe some of these conditions of the maternal diseases where we don't want the patient to push down vigorously because it may lead to complications with the mother, as the cardiac disease, respiratory disease, intracranial diseases, or sometimes even some of the ocular diseases also, where we don't want patient herself to push or to press down vigorously because it can induce complications to her. So maternal diseases in the form of anemia, cardiac disease, respiratory disease, heart diseases, these are the things where we don't want them to push down in the second stage of labor. And to reduce the duration of the second stage of labor also, we use these instrumental vaginal deliveries. Fetal distress is another thing which is where we use these deliveries, because the patient has reached to the stage of full dilatation and only a small assistance is required finally to bring out the baby from the birth canal. So if at that time the fetus starts showing distress, which can be either identified through the auscultation or by the using, if you are using electronic cardiac monitoring. So whatever the way you have, if you hear the fetal heart sound and the second stage of labor and you feel that it is, baby is having bradycardia or a tachycardia, so in that situation, you may even take half an hour even to shift the patient to cesarean section. So this is the time, if you find that distress is there, you can opt any one of these two things, but preferably we use forceps for the fetal distress point of view. So basically it is the instrumental deliveries are utilized in the second stage of labor when the patient either is not able to bear down or we don't want the patient to bear down in the conditions like cardiac disease, respiratory disorders, maybe some unconscious patients, intracranial pathology cases, severely anemic patients, and in the cases of fetal distress, when the fetus itself is in distress and we want to hurry up, we don't want even a 1 hour of second stage to take up. So before the instrumental delivery, there is some prerequisites. We can't use forceps or ventilus here and there as and when required. So there are some prerequisites which need to be checked and identified prior to deciding the instrumental delivery. Means we have to judge the fitness of that patient for the instrumental vaginal delivery. So pehli cheez, the thing is, the condition of the mother and fetus and the clinical situation should be considered carefully. This is the thing again written. Medical persons should introduce themselves to the woman and her partner and explain the reason for instrumental delivery. Whenever we want to use them, so we should explain the patient or their relative that this is the situation, we don't want delay and we want to cut short the second stage, or it is prolonging. That's why we want to use these instruments, because these instruments, they have their some or other associated risk with them. So it is important to make the woman as well as her relative to know that there is some risk, and to reduce those risks, we are utilizing one of these instruments, and these instruments have their own, some of the own risk also. Verbal and written consent, obviously, you know, for any of the procedure, we have to take a consent. General examination should include the condition of the mother, and the fetal condition should be evaluated based on the information, auscultation or cardiotocographic findings, whichever is available with you. Either you can hear the fetal heart sound with the stethoscope or a fetoscope, or if you have the CTG machine available with you, you can have a continuous cardiac monitoring, which is very important. And even in the second stage, it has been seen that we should hear the fetal heart sound every 5 to 10 minutes to identify the distress, because this is the time, most vulnerable time for the fetus may have a distress. So these basic things, that we should know the condition of the mother and the baby, and we should explain that this is the situation and we should go for an instrumental delivery. And for this, a consent should be there. Next thing, which is to be taken care prior to assisted deliveries, abdominal examination is very important to assess the fetus, and it is important to know the present situation of the head before applying any of these two equipments for the delivery. Oxytocin infusion should be considered. Usually it is we want to hasten the delivery of oxytocin infusion if required, if you feel so that the contractions are inadequate, or we can use oxytocin infusion simultaneously to increase the uterine contractions, because whenever we will pull, we have to pull during the contractions. The important part is the bladder should be empty. If the bladder is full, it will occupy a large space in the pelvic cavity, and it will cause problems during the delivery also, and it may cause injury to the bladder also. So to increase the space for the baby to deliver out, to come out smoothly without any complication, it is important the bladder has to be emptied, and it should be done through doing a catheterization. So K90 catheter or any of the tube method can be used for emptying the bladder. Then the vaginal examination. So abdominal examination as well as vaginal examination should be done priorly, completely, to decide whether we will be able, that she fits into the criteria of utilizing any of the instrument, and for which instrument is suitable for that particular woman. So one thing important is that cervix should ideally be fully dilated and the membranes should be absent. So before using any of these two instruments, it is important that cervix should be fully dilated. If the cervix is not fully dilated, at least forceps cannot be used at all. So it is important that patient is in second stage of labor, fully dilated, no rim is be there all around the fetal head. Color and the quantity of the amniotic fluid should be noted, and presentation should be vertex. Preferably the instrument is being used in the vertex, although the forceps can also be utilized in some other presentations, but it is better that it easiest to do it in a vortex, and we will be explaining you in this situation only. Excess caput soft tissue swelling, which we have discussed last week, and the molding means the overriding of the skull bones may suggest the possibility of disproportion. So this should also be seen. There should not be an excessive caput formation, or the molding should not be of grade 3 variety, because it suggests there is some obstruction. Where in those situations we should avoid using these instruments. So there should not be any obstruction below the station where we are using the forceps or the ventouse. This is important. Cervix has to be fully dilated, and the condition of the mother and the baby should be stable before we plan for the instrumental delivery. Now, the position, as we all know, that it is a dorsal position with the legs abducted, or we can do it in the left lateral position, but commonly we do it in the dorsal position, and I will be explaining you it in the same position. But it is much easier. And lithotomy position भी में भी use कर सकते हैं when the legs can be abducted far away. This helps in improving the distance. It is preferable to deliver the cesarean section if the head is above the ischial spine. So for both the kind of deliveries, we have to decide based on. So we have to decide. We have to decide based on the station of the fetal head what kind of application we are going to do it. So there can be an application where the fetus is at the head is at the level of ischial spines, or maybe a centimeter below or 2 centimeters below the ischial spine. So based on those situations, we decide the type of the instrument to be used, and the traction directions also has to be decided. So it is preferable if the head is above the ischial spine, or I must say if on abdominal palpation, if the head is any pole of the fetal head is palpable abdominally, we should not use any of these two instruments. It is better to go for a cesarean section. So whenever you are deciding for the taking up the patient for the vaginal instrumental delivery, it is important that on per abdominal examination, no pole of the fetal head, means the occiput and the sinciput, neither of the two main poles of the fetal head should be palpable abdominally. And if you are doing a vaginal examination, the head level should be below the level of ischial spines. Above the ischial spine level, we should not use any of the instrumental delivery. In that situation, using these instruments can be more harmful as compared to delivering the baby. So we should better to deliver the fetus with the help of cesarean section. So whenever the vertex is below the spines, it is possible to use any of these things. Analgesia, as we all know, we have to use is lignocaine 1% solution, which we prepare in a 20 ml syringe. And whenever we use it for the instrumental delivery, apart from the local vaginal infiltration, it is also been advised to do give a pudendal block, means blocking the pudendal nerve also. So local perineal infiltration as well as pudendal block helps in smoothing the delivery, because the local muscles gets relaxed, the perineal muscles gets relaxed, and it is easier to apply the instrument as well as to deliver out the baby, so that the patient doesn't feel much of the distress. Now coming first to the forceps. So forceps के लिए कुछ mnemonic भी दिया गया है, where it helps you to identify what are the prerequisites before you plan a forceps delivery. So it starts from its own original letters, like F is the forceps. First you have to check for the forceps fitness. Os should be fully dilated. O is used for os, which should be fully dilated. R means ruptured membranes. This is very important. C, the contractions should be of good quality. That is 3 to 4 contractions should be there, and at least of 30-40 second duration. E, we can say empty bladder. Bladder should be emptied with the help of the catheter preferably. Episiotomy is most of the time in instrumental delivery. It is better to give episiotomy because it improves the smoothness of delivering and avoids the inadvertent tears which may go in towards the anal mucosa. And P is the pelvic adequacy. The pelvis below the level of the head has to be adequate, and the presentation preferably has to be vertex, head +2 station. And here it is important that an abdominal palpation, the pole of the head should not be and sagittal suture should be in anterior posterior diameter. This is also very important for the forceps point of view, that sagittal suture has to be there in the anterior posterior diameter, because if the head is rotated, the forceps should not be applied. Only a 45 degree, less than 45 degree of rotation, if it is there, can the forceps be applied. If the head is more than 45 degree rotated, means the sagittal suture is not in this straight line. Preferably we should not use the forceps, because there are chances of wrong application and injury to the fetal scalp. So this is what are the important prerequisites which has to be checked whenever you plan for a forceps delivery. So procedure of the forceps application, I think it will be better when I will be demonstrating it to you, but just I will read out the things that basically we have to take the patient lying down in the dorsal position I prefer, although it can be done in the lateral position as well as in lithotomy positions. We take all the aseptic precautions as we normally do for any of the delivery. We have to arrange for the local anesthesia, that is 1% of xylocaine. Wear the gloves. Forceps has to be taken into consideration. First, we have to check that the forceps are okay. The two blades are locking to each other, because some of the bigger institutes or places where 2-3 forceps are there, the assistant may give you the wrong blades. So you have to check it first whether it is a correct forceps, it is locking properly. When you plan the forceps, then you have to lubricate the blade with the help of some of the jelly, so that it is smoothly goes inside and doesn't injure any of the maternal soft tissue. And the sliding of the forceps blade, I think I will be better whenever I will be demonstrating it you. The two blades are there. One is the left blade. The blade which goes on the left side of the mother is called as left blade, and the blade which goes towards the right side of the mother is called as the right blade. So because this forceps has a particular kind of a lock, so it is always said that the left blade is applied first, because then the left blade remains lower, and the right blade, when goes above it, it gets locked in that position. So the lock of this forceps, the outlet forceps, is like this, that we have to use the left blade first, which is followed by the application of the right blade, which is been shown here in the figure also. So we have to introduce the blade along the our fingers in between the fingers and the fetal head, so that it does not injure while entering into the birth canal any of the maternal structures. So the most important complication associated with the forceps is the injury to the maternal structures, the local genital structures. So it is important that we place a finger in between the head and the lateral pelvic wall, and then introduce the blade along our head, along our fingers, so that while entering into the birth canal, it doesn't damage here and there, it doesn't go here and there, and where we want to place it, we have to place it. Once it is inside, we have to depress the forceps blade handles, then we have to lock it. Agar wo lock ho jata hai, to it confirms that your application is okay. If the blades doesn't lock, it means your application is either application is wrong, or you have not chosen the correct patient. So once the both blades are there, you just have to bring the forceps handles downwards and lock the forceps. Locking is if it gets locked properly and smoothly, it confirms that you have applied the blade, the forceps absolutely well. And then you have to wait for the uterine contraction to come. And once the contraction will come, then only you have to give the traction to deliver out the baby. And once you are delivering the baby, at that time, it is important that if you require, episiotomy should be given. And it is good to give an episiotomy in any of the instrumental delivery, because if it gets extended, it will extend in that direction. It will not extend towards the rectum. So it is important. And the direction of the traction is also very important. And I think I will be informing it while I will be demonstrating. So some of the other things which is commonly being done in the normal vaginal delivery also is to be taken care in the forceps. That is AMTSL, any active management of the third stage of labor in all cases. Once the baby delivers out, repair of the episiotomy, Single dose of ampicillin, 2 grams IV should be given, because once you have used forceps. Dispose waste in an appropriate bag and container. All the instruments and gloves needs to be decontaminated. If there is a failed forceps means when you apply a forceps, it gets correctly applied and you give a traction and the baby does not come down. So if the fetus remains undelivered after the 3 pulls, or there is no descent with the single pull, means once you have applied it properly and you are giving a traction along with the uterine contraction, at that time, if the head doesn't descend at all, you have given the traction correctly, you have applied it correctly, and you are giving, you are pulling it out at the time of uterine contraction. If it is not descending down, means there is some problem in the path or there is some obstruction. So in that case, it is called as failed forceps. Or if you have given 3 pulls, you have given 3 tries of pulling the baby out and the fetus remains undelivered, then there is no need to try it off further, and it is called as failed forceps, and it is better to perform cesarean section. You have to record all these things, that you have tried it that way and somehow either you were not able to lock, or what was the reason that you switched off from this forceps, it was failed, and then you switch off. So this is the thing. This is all what we do for the normal delivery also, that AMTSL and this. Coming to the complications associated with forceps, as I have discussed earlier also, the forceps can lead to complications in the form of injuries either to the maternal genital tract or the fetus, because it is going around the fetal head and it is going inside the birth canal. So in taking the fetal complications associated with the forceps, one is facial nerve injury. Baby के face पर blade का tip जाता है. So sometimes if it is not properly applied, it may cause to facial nerve injury, but usually it resolves spontaneously and nothing has to be done. Lacerations of the face and scalp also may occur if there is a vigorous pull has been taken. So you just have to check after the delivery of the baby whether there is any injury to the face, scalp, ear, or anywhere in the over the face of the fetus. Clean that area, examine for the laceration if it is bleeding. If it is bleeding, then you may need to suture it out. Otherwise, just clean it with the antiseptic and it will heal on its own. Fractures of the face and skull, although very rare, but may happen rarely, and then it will need some expert advice from the surgeons. Kefal hematoma, again the collection of the blood. It requires, and nothing is to be done for that also. It usually resolves in 2 to 3 weeks time. So only in the observation has to be taken care of, and there are chances of hyperbilirubinemia which is to be followed after the birth. So kefal hematoma can also be a possibility in some of the cases, and very rarely intracranial hemorrhages if the internal sinuses get ruptured. Then in that case, the baby may need to be referred. So injuries again, so the injury can be of the nerve, injury can be of the skin or the scalp, maybe of bones, facial bones, and there can be an kefal hematoma and the intracranial hemorrhage, the blood vessel injury ki wajah se. So these are the fetal complication. Maternal complication is basically the vaginal and the perineal lacerations, which can be 3rd or 4th degree tears, and the chances of these tears are more in forceps delivery as compared to the vacuum delivery. So second, that's why it is important to give an episiotomy, because giving an episiotomy clears out the things. To some extent, it will reduce the chances of the 3rd or 4th degree perineal tears. As it is a second stage which is prolonged, or we are doing it for these things, there are chances of postpartum hemorrhage also. Sometimes urinary retention can also happen after the delivery, and the urinary and fetal incontinence also can be the possibility in some of the cases if we cause a greater damage to the bladder if it has not been emptied, or the rectum, very rarely if the tear goes towards it. So next option for the assisted vaginal delivery is the ventouse delivery. Ventouse or vacuum delivery, we have 2 kinds of cups available. by which we can do this kind of vacuum delivery. One is this silicone cup with the flexible tubing, which is also called as kiwi cup. Here, this is a small cup which is there. This is the cup which fits on the fetal scalp, and this is the central tubing which is flexible and moldable and attached with this handheld device which creates a negative pressure. And this is the thing which is can be used anywhere, and it can be moved here and there simply. So this is a very good option for doing a vacuum delivery for the peripheral areas, because it doesn't need any electricity support. There doesn't need any equipment, special suction machine or nothing like that. And the amount of the pressure which is to be created is also fixed. And even we can monitor the amount of the traction which is being applied with the help of this cup. So this is a very good device for delivering the fetus in second stage of labor, assisted vaginal delivery. Similarly, this another kind of a cup is also available. This is also a silicone cup which it has a stem attached with it, and the stem is attached either with a suction machine with the help of a tubing, or again this is a similar kind of an handheld negative pressure creator. So the difference is that the cup is same, but the pull which here is given through this flexible tubing, while here it is the stem which is being fixed to this cup, and we have to hold it with this stem itself to give a pull, and give the direction of the pull is being defined with this. So we have these two kinds of the Ventus available with us, where both can be used, and they have minor differences only. So advantages of Ventus over the forceps अगर हम देखें, so the Ventus are easy to apply. The chances of injury to the maternal tissues, which was very common with the forceps, as well as fetal structures, which was common with the forceps, is very less with the Ventus, because एक छोटा सा cup है जो सिर्फ scalp पे fit होना है, so it doesn't cause much of the injury to the maternal structures. Episiotomy is also not 100% required in this, because in the forceps blade itself, two blades has to go inside. They also need a space, and then we have to pull out the baby. Here nothing is being fixed. It is only the small cup which is fixed with the head. No anesthesia is required. No, and the chances of facial nerve injuries, fetal scalp injuries, these are very negligible with the Ventus. So the maternal as well as fetal injuries are almost negligible with the Ventus as compared to forceps. It is easier to apply. To some extent, it can be applied even on the non-rotated head, because it helps in rotation of the head, which is not there with the forceps. So yes, definitely the Ventus has a superior things as compared to the forceps. The disadvantage of the Ventus is increased risk of intraventricular hemorrhage in preterm babies. So the thing is, it should not be applied to the preterm babies. And the second thing is, as we have discussed earlier, in the we apply the forceps and Ventus in the vertex. So vacuum can only and only be applied in the vertex presentation. Face presentation वगैरह या कोई भी और malpresentation है, we cannot apply the Ventus, only and only for the vertex. And we should not apply Ventus in preterm babies, because preterm babies में scalp and the things are more fragile, and there are very high chances of intraventricular hemorrhage. So Ventus should never be used in those situations. Otherwise, Ventus has all the advantages over the forceps. So again, the indications of Ventus are almost the same as it was discussed with the forceps, like maternal exhaustion, fetal distress, prolonged second stage. We can even use it in the second twin delivery. And prophylactically, we use these assistants when we don't want the patient to bear down in the second stage of labor, or we want to cut short actually the second stage of labor. We don't want the patient to bear down for 1 or 2 hours in second stage. We want to cut short the second stage of labor, especially in the patients who are having cardiac disease, lung diseases, severely anemic, who are sedated, pre-eclamptic or eclamptic who may not be able to bear down. The contraindication of the Ventouse also, just I have said that it should never be used in premature babies, and it can only and only be used in the vertex presentation because cup has to fix with the bony structure. So face cannot give that much of, because it's an irregular area, it cannot give that fixity to create a vacuum. So in face presentation and any other presentation apart except the vertex, we should not apply the Ventouse. Non-macrosomic babies or intrauterine fetal death ke cases, maybe it is very difficult to apply the Ventouse because again the cup doesn't fit well. The bones are overlapping, they slide on. And following the recent scalp blood sampling, although it's not very common in our country, but some of the places where we do a scalp blood sampling for identifying the distress in the second stages, if the second blood sampling has been done from the scalp, we should not apply the Ventouse over that reasons, because the chances of vascular injuries increases in that. So basically, is it that we should not use in premature babies? In any other presentation apart from the vertex, we should not use it, and should not also use it in the IUD cases. Where so how to apply the Ventouse? Again, I think it will be better when I will be demonstrating, but just I will read out so that something is there in the point wise. That first of all, we have to see the fitness of the patient for the application of the Ventouse. Again, the same thing, that cervix should be preferably fully dilated, membranes should be absent, bladder should be empty. The thing, we should be clear for what indication we are using it, and the as the attendant, and it's better to have a written informed consent. We have 2 or 3 different size cups available in the form of 4 centimeter, 5 centimeter, and 6 centimeter diameter cups are available for the vacuum. And it is better to use 5 and 6 centimeter cups are the good ones, and it is always better to use a bigger size cup because it helps in delivering smoothly. Cup is applied over the flexion point. The most important thing at the application of the Ventouse is to identify the point where it has to be applied, and it is to be applied at the flexion point. Now, what is flexion point? Flexion point is a point 3 centimeter anterior to the posterior fontanelle in the midline. So posterior fontanelle, which we can easily palpate. When we do a pervaginal examination, we are easily able to locate the sagittal suture, and the posteriorly there is a triangular posterior fontanelle, which is very easy to palpate on pervaginal examination. And 3 centimeter anterior to this posterior fontanelle is the point which is called as the flexion point, and this is the best place where the Ventouse cup has to be put, because by placing the cup at this point, it increases the flexion which is required for the delivery of the head. So once the cup is being placed, vacuum is created either with the suction machine, whatever you are using, or the handheld pump. The pressure has to be adequate amount. Again, it has to be 200 millimeters of mercury pressure. Kam pressure bhi theek nahi hai, aur zyada pressure can also cause complications with the baby. So it has to be proper. The positioning in relation to the sagittal suture and posterior fontanelle should be checked. Inclusion of the vagina. जब भी हम कप लगाते हैं, सक्शन प्रेशर क्रिएट करते हैं, कभी-कभी ऐसे हो सकता है कि सर्विक्स की कुछ रिम या वजाइना का कुछ पार्ट लगाते वक्त इधर-उधर से उसमें दब जाए. So whenever you will give a negative pressure or traction, they will cause injury and lacerations to the tissue. So it is important. Once you apply a cup, you should check that there is no other tissue, soft tissue of the maternal, like cervix or the vaginal part is there inside the cup. Then the vacuum pressure is reached 600 millimeter mercury is the topmost pressure which has been advised to be created, and then we have to give a traction. Traction always, like a forceps, again the traction has to be given only during the time of the uterine contractions along with the maternal bearing down efforts if it is possible. And then there is a direction of the traction, again, which depends upon at which level of station the head is lying down. So direction of the traction is also important. So for the application of the Ventouse, only 2-3 things are important. One is you should preferably use 5 centimeter or 6 centimeters cup. The application of the cup has to be there at the flexion point. So it is important to identify the flexion point by doing a provisional examination. Once the cup is placed, you have to check that nothing is there between the head and the cup. There should be no other maternal soft tissue in between. Slowly, you have to create the vacuum negative pressure and reach to a maximum of 600 millimeter mercury, not more than that. And then once it is fixed, you have to wait for the uterine contractions to come. And once it comes, then you have to give a pull, that is the traction, adequate in amount and in a particular direction, which I will be showing on the demonstration part. The one thing which happens once the baby is delivered out and you release the negative pressure, you remove the cup, the thing which is there formed at the fetal scalp is a soft edema, which is called as a bump or a chignon. This is normal and it usually resolves over some of 2 to 3 days time. So there is nothing to worry about, and it should be explained to the mother that this is a thing which has been developed and it will on its own will resolve out, because it's a general edema which is being created because of developing a negative pressure there. Precautions, all whatever has been taken to be considered at the time of applying is, पहली बात हम लोग बार बार वही बात करते हैं कि it has to be correctly positioned, neither very posteriorly, neither anteriorly. It has to be there in the flexion point. अगर आप उसको fontanelle के ऊपर लगाते हैं, so again the negative pressure will not be there proper, and the chances of the things which are there below the fontanelle is more. So it is important that it should be just anterior to the posterior fontanelle. Asymmetrical placement relative to the sagittal suture will aggravate the asynclitism. So the cup has to be placed on the sagittal suture in the midline. Then only you will be able to pull out the baby from the birth canal properly. Do not apply in preterm fetus. We have discussed it earlier also. Again, the same thing is whenever you are pulling it out, there should be a descent of the fetal head. Once you give a pull, you have applied the Ventouse cup, you have created a negative pressure, you are waiting for the uterine contractions. Once the contraction comes, you give a traction, and once you give a traction, the head should descend to some extent with each of your traction. If it is not descending with each of your traction, it means there is something which is problematic. You can give one more try, whether the thing is not well placed, or if it is the thing is not well developed. But if 3 pulls and you are not able to deliver out the baby, it means this is the failed Ventouse application, and we should immediately switch over for plan for the cesarean section. So anything, whether you are using a forceps or you are using a Ventouse, the time once you apply is that you should give it a maximum of 30 minutes time, and it is the 3 pulls which maximally you can just think of as a trial of that forceps or a Ventouse. And even within each pull, the head should descend down to some extent. If it is not descending at all, it means there is something abnormal. Either there is an obstruction, cephalopelvic disproportion, or it is something wrong with your application. That's why it is not coming down. So in that situation, with the 3 pulls, if the head is not delivering out, it means there is failure of this procedure, and you should switch over for this cesarean section. So same thing has been written here. Head does not advance with each pull, and cup slips off the head twice at a proper direction of the pull with a maximum negative pressure. अगर आपने negative pressure ही कम बनाया होगा, तो अपने आप से head पर से वो pop off कर जाएगा. So if you have created a correct negative pressure, that is 600 millimeter of mercury, and despite that the cup is slipping off 2 times or more than that, then it means that there is something abnormal, and it is better to switch over to the cesarean sections. So complications associated with it is usually the very few complications are there with the Ventouse, and whatever the complications are there, it is with the fetus scalp where the cup is being applied. It causes the scalp edema, which is normal, and it is definitely going to be there, which is called as chignon. Cephal hematoma often can happen because if some blood vessel leaks. scalp abrasions if it is vigorously pulled out, and very rarely intracranial bleeding can happen, especially if you have done it in the premature babies. Maternal complications are very rare with the ventouse. Yes, often you can find out cervical tears if you have not identified, and part of the if the cervix is not fully dilated, or part of the cervix gets comes inside the cup, or the part of the vagina comes inside the cup while making up the suction. So then it can cause the injuries, lacerations, or hematomas formation. So as such, the ventouse application is more easier to apply as compared to forceps. So vacuum application के लिए जो mnemonic दिया गया है, so again it is from the general अपना alphabetical order of the English alphabets. Like apply and check means you should see the appropriateness of the mother for the application of the ventouse, means fitness of the patient has to be seen for the ventouse. Then bladder has to be emptied when doing a catheterization. Cervix should be fully dilated and membrane should be ruptured. One should determine the position, station, and pelvic adequacy. Position of the head, station of the head, and the pelvis below wherever the head is, the pelvis below that position has to be adequate. Then only you will be able to deliver the baby. Equipment means you have to check the cup, you have to check your suction machine or the pump before applying it, so that you do not waste your time at that particular time. You have to check it first whether the pump is functional and it is creating a vacuum. Position of the cup is again very important, which we will discuss in demonstration. Gentle traction. Traction has to be gentle, and that too in accordance with the uterine contraction. It is better. H is for the halt, that is halt traction if no progress with 2 tractions, and vacuum pops off 2 times. Again, it has been written similar thing. No progress with 2 traction or vacuum pops off more than 2 times, and it is halt. In between the contraction also you have to wait. Incision, consider episiotomy if you think that the introitus is small or it may require it. So once you find the head is coming at the introitus, then you have to give an episiotomy and remove the vacuum when the jaw is reachable or the delivery is assured. So this is a simple mnemonic just to remember out these steps of application of the ventouse formation. So I think this is all for the presentation point of view. I have discussed the indications of the 2 assisted delivery options available with us. One is ventouse and the another is forceps. How to apply them, we will be demonstrating it to avoid the complications as much as possible. We have discussed the complications, but as far as if you identify the patient correctly, if you do the things correctly, there are minimum chances of complications with the forceps as well as the ventouse, as I can assure. So presentation is over, and I think I should start demonstrating the procedure. If you are able to model of the which also we call as Mama Natalie or Mama Bertie, where we will be demonstrating you the procedure of applying the forceps and the ventouse. Before that, I think I will demonstrate the forceps. This is the Wrigley's forceps, or also we call it as a outlet forceps. We have different varieties of the forceps, like outlet forceps, low cavity forceps, mid cavity forceps, and high forceps. But nowadays, with the good cesarean section facilities and anesthesia facilities, the complication associated with high forceps used to be very high. So we have now abandoned those all procedures, and only the outlet or the low cavity forceps are nowadays being done. So this is the Wrigley's forceps or a low cavity forceps. It has 2, basically the blades. The blade has a handle. This is the handle. This is the area which is the lock where the another blade fixes here. This is the shank. Shank is basically the zone which joins the blade with the handle. And this is the blade which is fenestrated. This is a hole is there in this blade. So this is called as fenestrated blade. There are 2 curves in this forceps. One is the curve here this side. This is where the fetal scalp will cover. So this forceps will cover the fetal skull. So this curvature where the fetal head will be coming, is called as the cephalic curve, and there is another curve. This is the another curvature which simulates to the birth canal. So this is called as pelvic curve. So there are two curves in the forceps. This is not a simple instrument, very technically designed instrument. So this is a one curvature, which is, you can see the concavity here where the fetal head gets fixed. So this is called as cephalic curve. And there's another curve here which is similar to the birth canal. So this is called as the pelvic curvature. So if you keep the forceps on the some of the platform, you can see the tip of this has to be pointed upwards. This is how you have to identify the forceps blades, because when we apply the blades, we have to identify the which one is the left blade, which one is the right blade, and we have to apply it correctly. So that it is important to identify the structures of the forceps. So this is the one blade of the forceps, this is the another blade of the forceps, almost similar mirror images of each other, though they have lock in between. So one blade locks over the another. So you can see this is the left blade, or this is the right blade, which gets locked only when you apply above it. So left blade is applied first, and then we apply the next blade, that is the right blade, and then it gets locked. And this is the structure which should come up after locking. This is how it is being done. So to identify the forceps blades, it is important. पहली बार जैसे forceps को हमको कभी भी plan करना है, so we have to check that both the blades are of same forceps and they lock smoothly and easily. This way to check that their forceps are okay, because whenever in the hospital you may have 3-4 forceps and the sister staff can give you the 2 different kinds of blades also. So it is important that blades has to be checked. But so the blades has to be checked. And then how to identify? So this is the correct position. You have to just keep the forceps of any of the plane surface, and then the tip of this instrument has to be pointed upwards. If you keep this like this, you can see the tip is pointing upwards. You can see, anyone can see that tip is pointing upwards. If I keep it like this, you can see this is the wrong way I have placed it. So tip is pointing downwards. So always the blade has to be like this, that the tip of the forceps blade should be pointing upwards. So keeping like this, you can identify it. This is the left blade and this is the right blade. So left blade is this one. We have to identify the blade. Then we have to hold. Once you have planned that your patient is absolutely fit for the forceps application, means she fulfills the indication, either the second stage is prolonging or we want to cut short the second stage. Second thing is important to check that position. The patient has to be either in dorsal position or the lithotomy position. We have to empty the bladder, catheterize the urine, whatever is there. Even if the patient has passed the urine, it is better to catheterize the bladder so that no amount of fluid should be, urine should be. Any bladder empty will not only increase the space inside, also avoid the injuries later on to the bladder, which may cause problems. Then you have to examine the patient properly. First, it is the per-abdominal examination, and the per-abdominal examination, no fetal pole should actually be palpable per-abdominally, just above the symphysis, because this is the most important thing whenever you decide either for the forceps or the ventules. If any of the fetal pole is palpable abdominally, means the head का sincipital या occipital या कोई भी part fetal head का अगर abdominally palpate हो रहा है, तो it means the head is high enough, and your this outlet forceps, that is release forceps, you will not be able to pull it up down. So it is important. Next thing is you will be using all aseptic precautions, means you have cleaned this area, you will have covered this area with the clean towels. You must have wearing gloves. But here I have not done it, so sorry for that. But you will be doing that, and you have to do a per-vaginal examination, which we normally do it. And you have to identify the situation of the fetus, how it is lying. The position of the fetus and the station of the fetal head has to be identified. So for the forceps application and as well as the ventouse application, it is important that should be the vertex presentation. It should be a vertex presentation. And another important thing is that your sutures should be For the forceps, the another important prerequisite is that your head should be in the suture, sagittal suture should be in anterior posterior diameter. This is the replica. So you can see this is the posterior fontanelle, which is a triangular in shape, and this is the anterior fontanelle, and this one is the sagittal suture. So posterior fontanelle, sagittal suture, anterior fontanelle. So whenever you are applying the forceps, that thing is that the suture should be in the midline, anterior posteriorly. Means this is the anterior, this is the posterior aspect. So if it is rotated, like this, so up till 45 degrees of rotation, it is okay, you can apply the forceps. But if it is rotated more than that, like this, or if it is like applying the forceps. So this is another important prerequisite for the forceps application, which is important before you plan for your forceps assisted vaginal delivery. If the head is rotated more than 45 degrees, it is preferred to use ventouse. You can use vacuum cup for the delivery because it not only delivers out, descends the head, it also helps in rotating the fetal head. So either head, the sagittal suture should be in this way. It can be either this way, means the occipito-posterior position, and you can do it in the occipito-anterior position. But the thing is that sagittal suture has to be in AP diameter when you apply the forceps. So once you have completely done with the prerequisites, you have checked the maternal things. Hello. हेलो सिस्टर इधर आ जाए, आपको बस इसको ना बच्चे को ऐसे होल्ड करके रखना है. सो वंस आई विल पुल अप, तो इसको थोड़ा सा दबा, ठीक है. तो so now once we have checked all the prerequisites, you can see I have made this, I can show you to some extent that this has been made as an occipito anterior position, and the suture can be seen here. Its sagittal suture is anterior. This is what you have to do it by doing a palpation with your two of us, that this is the occiput which has been seen here, and there's a sagittal suture which is in AP diameter. So this is a correct situation where you can use the forceps. You have the staff, whosoever has given you the forceps, you have to first check whether it is the correct forceps, applied, locked. Then you have to identify the left blade, hold the left blade in your left hand. Then what you have to do is, your right hand, you have to introduce two of your fingers of the right hand into the vagina, parallel to the fetal head and the maternal lateral pelvic wall. Now, holding this instrument like this, you have to introduce your blade of the left blade first along your fingers into the vagina. Once the blade has been introduced inside, then you have to lower down the blade, and you can ask your assistant to hold this blade. So the assistant always has to be there whenever delivery. So this is important that you must have one assistant with you. So here the one blade has been applied, and the blade will be kept here like this. So another blade, this is the right blade, you will hold the right blade in your right hand in a similar fashion. Now you will introduce your left hand inside, two fingers, and then you will introduce this right blade in a similar fashion smoothly. It is important that you should lubricate the blades prior to application so that the insertion remains smooth. So once it is inside, it is again the handle, and then you have to check that your handles should lock. This locking of the blades, if it happens smoothly, then it means your head has been properly grasped. Once this has been properly grasped, so it means usually the blades remain at this angle, means from mento-parietal position per blades ke aate hain. So it is important, once it is locked, it means you can be assured that your placement is absolutely okay. Otherwise, if there is a wrong placement, you may not be able to lock the forceps blades. Then you have to wait for the uterine contraction to come. Once the uterine contraction is there, then you have to start giving a traction, and it is always better to sit down. Some of the people I have seen giving a traction, standing out, taking the support, someone supporting you. For the outlet forceps delivery, if it is a correct position, a correct place, placement of the forceps, you just need to give a direction and a moderate amount of attraction which is required. So once it is at a lower station, means head is at +2 or +3 station, what is required is first we have to bring the head downwards. So the traction initially should be the forward. Forward means towards yourself. You have to pull the baby towards yourself, and simultaneously with your left hand you have to, because if you are a right hander you will be pulling with the right hand, and with the left hand you will be depressing it so that you want to bring the head down. So this is how you will try.
नहीं है जो भी 4 इंची वाला जो लाए हैं,
हाँ 4 इंची वाला इस तरह है वो।
with the,
Shikha ma'am, your voice is not audible. I think you got muted. Yeah.
हेलो,
Yes, ma'am.
कुछ मिस हो गया? काफी देर से था क्या?
नहीं, ma'am. Just
Okay.
last.
So once the blade has been applied, then you have to give a traction. Traction means you have to give the direction. Direction of the traction is very important, and you have to pull it forwards, means towards yourself, and you have to pull it first downwards to bring the head down towards the introitus. So this has been done by this. Like you will be pulling it down and pressurizing the another hand to make it downwards till you are able to see the 4-5 centimeters of the fetal head at the vulva. This is the time when two things has to be done. One is you have to give the episiotomy, and I'm sure that you must have been prepared the perineum with the pudendal as well as the perineal block. So this is the time you have to give the episiotomy. And second thing is we have to change the direction of the pull, because now we have to deliver the whole head down. So जो पहले हम forward और backward कर रहे थे, now we have to change the direction of the pull upwards. So we have to pull it upwards like this, and upwards like this, so that whole of the, so till the chin is delivered. As soon as the chin is out of the perineum, and at the same time the assistant has to make the perineal pressure. This is two things here again very important, that your traction has to be slow, gentle, so that the delivery of the head occurs smoothly. Some assistant has to hold the perineum like this to avoid the extension of the injuries or the episiotomy. And then you have to remove open the lock, remove the blades slowly.
इस तरह का प्लेट के लिए भी आता है। अच्छा।
Allow the baby to restitute, वो अपने आप से restitute होगा, and then after some time the shoulders will come into anterior posterior dimension. And normally जैसे हम लोग delivery करते हैं, so first we'll have to bring it down so that anterior shoulder comes out, and then we have to pull it slightly upward so that the posterior shoulder delivers out. So this is all how we apply the forceps. वापस दे देंगे सब, वापस इसको दोबारा से लगाना, निकाल दो सारा, निकाल दो. So फिर से लगाएंगे. So this is how the forceps delivery has to be applied. Again, I will just enumerate what are the things important. One is once you have identified that the fetus is okay, means the condition of the mother is okay for the forceps delivery, for which it is important that there should be no pole palpable abdominally. Here the head should be below the ischial spine, and for forceps, outlet forceps, it has to be at +2 or +3 station. And the suture has to be always in anterior-posterior diameter. This is very important for the forceps point of view. First, you have to check the forceps blades locking, whether it is proper or not. Then you have to identify the sides of the blade. You have to identify the left blade, collect the left blade in your left hand, introduce your right finger, and you have to lubricate the blade and then apply it along your fingers. The blade should go along your fingers so that they do not injure any of the maternal structures. Once the one blade is applied, the assistant will hold it, and then you have to introduce the another blade. Check for the locking. If it doesn't lock, you can remove it again and do it once more. So you can give 2 trials in that way if you have not made it correctly. Once it is properly applied, locked, and then you have to wait till the uterine contractions. Don't pull without uterine contractions. Once the contraction is there, you will pull out, and in a particular direction, that is forwards and downwards till the fetus skull is there over the introitus. And then either if you want, you can give an episiotomy at that position. Giving an episiotomy early, you can do it, but it may lead to excessive bleeding or a prolonged bleeding. But it is better to give an episiotomy only when the perineum is distended and thinned out. So it is better that this time when the good amount, 4 or 5 centimeter of scalp is visible, then only you will cut the perineum, give an episiotomy, mediolateral episiotomy as you normally give, and then change the direction of the pull upwards till the whole of the vedal head is delivered. And once the chin is also out of the introitus, then you can remove the blades. So this was how we do the forceps application. Another thing is vacuum application. So I can show you this. These are the two kinds of the cups. So I think आप सभी ने देखे हैं, इस्तेमाल करे होंगे. So this is the normal ventouse cup, which has a rigid handle. This is the cup. Again, the diameter of the cups are different size, उनके colors अलग-अलग आते हैं. So 5 centimeters, 6 centimeters diameter के cups are available. This is called rigid stem cup because इसका जो stem है ये rigid है, and it is fixed with a particular position with the cup. और यहाँ पर this is the posteriorly there is a metallic knob which either gets connected to a similar kind of a pump device, or you can connect it with the tubing to a suction machine if you have suction machine available with you. So this is the cup, and this is a completely very good device which doesn't need any other machine or an energy source or an electricity at all. This is the cup which is there, the tubing which is not that rigid because you can, the direction of the pull can be slightly maneuvered, the positioning of the cup also can be maneuvered, and this is the handle by which you can, by pressing it out, you can create a negative pressure. How much pressure is to be created is being shown here. So up to this green zone means is a normal zone, and here the markings are also being there. So green zone completes at 0.8 kilopascals. So that is the maximum amount which we require. And once you have done with this thing, you can release the pressure from here once the delivery is done. So this is, the cup here is rigid. The cup here is flexible. So for the application of this kind of cup, what you have to do is again, the same kind of thing. All things have been evaluated. Bladder has been emptied. Thing has been explained to the mother. Now you have to apply the ventouse cup. So for this kind of cups, these are flexible silicone cups. You can, what you have to do is, taking all aseptic precautions, you have to press this cup like this. So it goes inside easily. It goes inside the introitus easily. And then you have to place it up with the left hand. You will have to do it like this. And then you can place it like this. And the placement of the cup is important. The placement has to be there at the flexion point, as has been discussed earlier. Flexion point is the point. Suppose this is the fetal head. You can see this is the posterior fontanelle and this is the sagittal suture. So flexion point is a point 3 centimeter anterior to the posterior fontanelle. So this is the area which is called as the flexion point, and the cup has to be there. And the thing is, cup has to be there, not the rim of the cup. The center of the cup has to come here. So once you are using this kind of cup, so it will come like this. It will come like this. If you are using this TV cup, so this is like, this will come like this. So the cup should never be not so posteriorly over the fontanelle. The cup should not come on over the fontanelle. This is important. It has to be here on the flexion point, preferably in the midline over the sagittal suture. Kabhi rotated head hota hai. So you may end up in cup being placed more laterally on one of the parietal bone, but preferably it is better. It gives a very good results when you apply the thing. 3 centimeter anterior, this is the point where the center of the cup should be there. So this is how this cup gets placed. Once we have placed this cup, you can just create a negative pressure like this. Once the negative pressure is created, this gets fixed. So we will be doing it here again. So for this kind of cup, what you have to do is, once you have to insert it, so once you have done it, you have prepared it, what you have to do, you have to just retract the vulva, and then this has to be, this should not go like this. This should be introduced as a lateral position inside the, you have to introduce it like this, and once you are inside, you have to mold it like this, and then you have to place this thing inside at the flexion point, the flexion point which you have measured earlier with your finger. So it is important when you are doing a PV examination, you should identify, you should palpate the posterior fontanelle, and you should see the position of the flexion point, and you should measure it with your these internal fingers till the point where it is introitus. So जितना distance ये है, उतने distance पर हमें इसको cup को अंदर लगाना होता है. So once you have identified it, you know how much length is there, and then it can be placed. So holding the cup like this, you have to introduce into the vulva. Once you are inside, you can mold it inside, and then you have to place the cup in the flexion point, measuring your distance. And once it is placed like this, now you have to place it. Once it is being placed, then you have to create a negative pressure. You just create a negative pressure till these things are there. You can see this thing is going inside, and you have to create till your green zone completely goes in. So this, doing it manually takes a time, and it is good enough time to create. If you are doing it with the suction machine, then it is important, then it has to be generated slowly, because sudden excessive negative pressure can create problems. So this is how this is being done. So this much is the maximum thing that your green zone almost goes in. This is a sufficient thing. The cup has been fixed to this fetal scalp, and while this is being done, it is important to check that there is no maternal tissue, especially the cervix or the vagina, is being engulfed between the fetal skull and the scalp. So this is the important thing. There are only two important things while placing the ventouse. One is the placement, that is 3 centimeter anterior to the posterior fontanelle at the flexion point. And secondly, once you apply and create a negative pressure, there should not be, in between also you must check that there is no maternal tissue lying in between these two things. Once it is there, then again you have to wait for the maternal uterine contractions to come. As soon as the contractions are there, then this is from the left hand, which is your non-dominant hand, you will place your fingers inside. So your one finger remains over the fetal scalp and another over this cup. So this is how you have to keep it like this. Once you keep it like this helps in identifying whether the fetus is descending or not. It also helps preventing the popping up of the cup from the fetal scalp. So once the contraction is there, you will start pulling it out. Again, the similar way, the pull has to be directed. Pull has to be directed first downwards and forwards, means अपने तरफ लेना है उसको और downwards लेना है, so that the head can come down. You can see the other finger, one of my finger is over the fetal scalp and another thumb is over this skull, so that I can identify that head is coming down with the pull. After some time, if you feel that contraction is over, you should wait for another contraction to come. There is no hurry. So that's why it takes time. That it is why it has been said that vacuum preferably should not be used in case if it is a fetal distress. So अगर आपको fetal heart में bradycardia या tachycardia रहता है, so it is preferred to use forceps in that situation, because you can pull the baby out preferably, and there is nothing which is pressurizing over the fetus. While here, whatever you are using is using over the fetal scalp, who is also already in distress, and secondly, then it will take some time in creating a negative pressure. So forceps is a bit better option for the fetal distress point of view. Otherwise, ventouse is completely safer for the body. So as soon as the next contraction comes away, you again continue to pull in the downward and forward direction. And see, this is, you don't have to pull it directly, you have to pull it in the direction of the maternal birth canal. So it is downward, and you can see this is the direction, forwards and downwards. So I'm pulling it towards myself and downwards. So this is how you have to pull it down again till the situation when the biparietal diameter is able to be visualized over the vulva. This is the time again you have prepared your perineum. You can give an episiotomy at this time. You can give an episiotomy, and once the episiotomy is given, now you have to change the direction of the pull, and you have to give a direction the upwards and forwards. And again, the assistant has to give a perineal pressure, and this delivery has to be slow and smooth. This delivery of the head should be slow and smooth. But there should not be a speedy delivery, otherwise again the injuries can be there. So it has to be a smooth delivery till again the chin is there. Once it is there, you have to press this button. You can see the pressure is released, and you can remove the cup. This is again, you can just see a negative pressure. This creates an edema of the fetal scalp. This is called as chignon, which is normal, and it gets cleared off in 3 months time. Again, the similar thing. Once it is there, you have to wait for the restitution, and similarly you will do the rest of these steps as we do for any of the normal delivery. Means delivery of the anterior shoulder, delivery of the posterior shoulder, delivery of the rest of the trunk. Then the AMTSL, that is the active management of the third stage of labor, has to be done to avoid the excessive bleeding in the third stage of labor. And once all it has been done, it is very important, once the baby has been delivered, it is very important for both whenever you are doing a forceps delivery or an induced delivery to examine the baby's head as well as the maternal birth canal properly using the speculums to find out any tears, lacerations, hematoma, because these things are there with these. The complications of this thing is there. So it is important to check the whole of the fetus for any trauma, be it a vacuum. Vacuum में सिर्फ basically scalp पे ही vacuum cup लगता है. So this is the major area where the injury or trauma can be there. So there chignon के अलावा hematoma हो सकता है, bone पर injury, scalp पर tear हो सकते हैं, injuries हो सकते हैं. So you can find out. But for the forceps point of view, ये जो forceps apply होती है, so what the forceps जब आके लगती है, तो this comes out like this. तो forceps में जो blades हमारे लगते हैं, वो कहीं ना कहीं हमारे यहाँ पर चिन पर, मेंटम पर आते हैं और parietal bone पर आते हैं. So there can be injury at the parietal bone also, and there can be injury at the level of the cheek. यानी face के level पर भी injury हो सकती है. So that's why it is important to see for the lacerations, injuries on the fetal scalp as well as face, and for facial nerve injuries if it is there when you are applying. And once the baby is out, once the baby is out, you have to check for the whole of the birth canal for any of the injuries, laceration if are there. You should use the 2 of the speculums and the sponge holders to check for the cervix as well as whole of the vaginal birth canal. For any of the injuries, the episiotomy has to be repaired using complete aseptic precautions, preferably using the vital suture rapid. And again, the patient has to be stabilized, giving a analgesic after that. So this is all about the thing for these 2 kinds of the assisted vaginal delivery. The important thing is you have to decide in which situation you have to go for the assisted vaginal delivery, and it has to be done only in the second, preferably in the second stage. At your level, it is only the second stage of labor where these 2 instruments has to be used. And this is whenever the second stage is prolonged indication. Another is whenever the second stage you want to cut short because the mother's situation is not that good. You don't want to bear her down in the second stage for 1 or 2 hours. And third thing is the fetus is in distress. The fetus, if it is in distress, means showing bradycardia or tachycardia or irregular fetal heart rate, then you have to use any of these two instruments. For fetal distress, it is preferred to use forceps. For rest of the things, it is preferred to use ventouse because it is easier, safer in the hands. And secondly, another important part is forceps will only be applied whenever the suture is anterior posterior, while the vacuum can even be applied in the when the suture is transverse. So it not only once you apply the cup over this flexion point, so it not only once you start pulling it, if you pull it from this point, it will increase the flexion and it also helps in rotating the fetal head also. So this is the advantage of the ventouse, but it should never be used in the situations when the fetus is preterm. So I think from my side, this is complete the demonstration. Thank you.